Sup nerds, I'm CuppaJoey and welcome back to another episode of r/menwritingwomen. So, ladies, I hope you got about 10 pairs of panties at the ready, because these men, they get it. But though the power of Umar is beyond all measure, still I am a female. Thus I shall crush the accursed human as only a woman can, with the matchless weapons of cunning and overwhelming guile. Thanks, Stanley. A+, because that's exactly the only way that women can overcome anything, it has to be some kind of sneaky thing. There's, no way that, women can actually make logical arguments, or even be, say, physically strong, or do anything other than this lovely stereotype you've created. Time for lunch, she said. We just had lunch, he said. Or was that breakfast? I'm a growing girl, she said. Her tone tipped him off that she was aware she was hefty but couldn't care less. Her arms were well muscled and her bosom, encased in a bra whose underwiring, pushed against the fabric of her white t-shirt, was matronly! Yep, that's right. Her breasts were the kinds that make Kenneth Williams go, Oh, this is only one small paragraph, and yet I have so many comments about it. First of all, her tone tipped him off that she was aware she was hefty, so this began because he doesn't like the fact that she's a larger person. Because being fat is the worst thing you can possibly be. I know as a chunkalicious boy myself, I am very aware that the worst sin that you could ever commit is daring to not only be fat, but to be quite comfortable with it. Also, okay, so she said that she's a growing girl, second point. She said she's a growing girl. If she's a growing girl, then she's a child, right? Like, she would be a teenager or a child. That's not something that an 18-year-old would say. I mean, so I sometimes say it about myself, and I'm 28, and I'll go, I'm a growing boy, but, it's tongue-in-cheek, it's a joke. Obviously, I know I'm not still growing, except maybe outwards. But, Okay, we can disregard that bit I just said. I actually just read a little bit of context to do with this. Apparently, it is a middle-aged woman. So, okay, it was a little tongue-in-cheek, joke, kind of like the one that I would make, which doesn't make it so bad. But it doesn't change the weirdness about the attention to her breasts. She's, a chunky girl, but hey, them titties, and the whole, whose underwiring pushed against the fabric of her white t-shirt. Underwiring doesn't work like that. It goes under. You're not gonna see, especially if they're large breasts, you're not gonna see the underwire. And also, just the matronly who describes a tit as matronly. It's freaking weird. This next one is a little extra because it's about a real person, again. This is to do with the Roe versus Wade court. This was from a documentary, to do with the Roe versus Wade court case, which was to do with reproductive rights and abortion access. Jane Roe, fake name similar to Jane Doe, was the attorney that was speaking, in defense of reproductive rights and the like. This is how they described her. Blonde attorney defends abortion before court. An attractive blonde woman attorney told the Supreme Court today that criminal abortion laws such as those in Texas infringe on the blah 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 blah. So, yeah, instead of, she's an attorney. She's a qualified professional. For God's sake, but no, we gotta mention that, she's shaggable. That's, just say, Jane Roe, attorney, told the Supreme Court, blah, 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 blah. I swear it's so easy to just fix all of these. Just get rid of the creepiness and you'll have a proper article instead of this trash. Mum would give her right arm to be a grandmother again, and Karen and I have spent enough on designer vaginas to not want to push another kid out. And Kirsten, yes, I know lesbians can have babies too, but you're too busy playing the field to even think about settling down. Mandy, grandchild number 4 rests on your shoulders. Just think, by this time next year, you could be married and pregnant. That's right, when you got a group of sisters together, all they talk about is whether or not they will be married and pregnant, therefore providing something for a man, or having designer vaginas, apparently. I've never heard of that. I have never heard of a designer vagina. I mean, what are you? Is it like Build-A-Bear? Is it like Build-A-Fanny, where you got like you get to choose what scent goes in there and what noise it makes when you push it? Oh god! Oh, this is like a man that this is by the one by John Mars. This is what he thinks that women talk about when they all get together, especially in front of their mum. Like if you look up there, it says Mandy felt her face turn scarlet. Her mother shook her head and rolled her eyes. So this is like a group of sisters, like sitting with their mother, talking about what work they've had done on their fannies. This is freaking brilliant. Daughter of Ash by Matthew S. Cox. Ooh, it's book 4 in the Awakened series. Designed to be the perfect assassin, Kate is as beautiful as she is deadly. Everything she touches burns. The government attempted to engineer a pyrokinetic agent, but their plans went awry. Her power to command fire as a living extension of her psyche exceeded expectations, except for one problem. Her skin is hot enough to destroy most materials on contact, useless for infiltration. They declared her a failure and tried to kill her at the age of 7. Years after escaping, she lives on the outskirts of society in the shadows of East City, hiding under the wing of Syndicate underboss. Kate kills without hesitation to earn the favour of the only person to show her kindness, but her happiness is as false as her holographic clothing. An eerie figure offers to end her curse if she joins the Awakened, a group of psionics as powerful as she. To find them, she must travel thousands of miles across the country, but with her condition, she can't exactly fly commercial. Desperate for human contact, Kate sets out to cross the Badlands on foot, unconcerned with danger. Cursed or dead, either way, she wins. I mean, this one isn't that bad. This one, I don't think that this is particularly bad at all. The only kind of men writing women aspect of this, I would say, is the fact that there is just a little bit of... the only real issue with this is the fact that there is a little bit of concentration on the fact that she is beautiful. Like, it mentions that she is as beautiful as she is deadly, and we've got this picture of, the classically attractive woman, and it also mentions that her clothes are holographic, which, I mean, I can kind of understand if like, the whole point is that her skin is so, hot that it will burn certain materials. I can understand why they would say, well, we can't have standard clothing, but holographic, I'm sure there's something heat resistant and not just holographic. I mean, I know it says destroy most materials on contact, but still, it just feels like it's an excuse to have her naked, Overall, this isn't really too bad on the men writing women front, I don't think. Then again, I haven't read the book, so it could be 10 times worse on the inside. We're just looking at the blurb here. The man is supposed to be the head of the household, over his wife and children. The woman is supposed to bow down to the man. The man is physically, mentally, and psychologically superior to the woman. Not unnatural, backwards, such other way round. You fool! No. I mean, this just reads like somebody who has just, never spoken to a woman other than his mother in his entire life, who just, loves her kids so much, he'll just, go along with that. I think that there may be, a few, a few women in society that might just have a little something to say about this. Yeah, I'd like you to say that in the face of freaking King Peggy, who is just an amazing person. She is the king of a town in Ghana, and she didn't need a man to get there. Benazir Bhutto didn't need a man to become the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Even in ancient times, Cleopatra and Nefertiti didn't need men to still have their names spoken about today. Also, literally everything he said is just a load of bollocks, so I'm not even gonna freaking entertain that. Something's going on with this city, Dalinar said. What? I don't know. Dalinar might not pay attention to the grand plans Galavar and Sadeas made, but he was a soldier. He knew battlefields like a woman knew her mother's recipes. He might not be able to give you measurements, but he could taste when something was off. Yeah, because every single woman knows their mother's recipes. That's one of the checklists. How to tell someone is a woman. Number 1. ask her what, you know, ingredients her mum uses, you know, in her cherry chocolate stroganoff with a cheese and onion side dip. I don't know. It makes you wonder if any of them have ever spoken to a woman in their frickin' lives. This is from a novel by John Grisham. I'm just going to read a bit highlighted, but trust me, there's so much around it that's a lot worse. The only negative was the nasty rumour. Surely she couldn't go for women. She was too perfect, too exquisite, too appealing to the opposite sex. She was destined to be a trophy wife. Yes, how dare this woman be a lesbian, because, you know, the only existence that women have is to, you know, be owned by a bloke, and if she's, you know, only interested in women, then she's not going to be owned by a bloke, and that in itself is the biggest tragedy fiction has ever known. I mean, that in itself is really gross. Like, there are, you know, so many lesbians have had this said to them, have had some kind of creep tell them that they are too pretty to be a lesbian, or that them being a lesbian is a waste, as if, you know, how they feel about other people and the fulfillment they get out of life isn't worth anything. It's really, really annoying, and I've heard of it too many times. The only way that this could be excused is if it was like an inherently problematic protagonist, and it was the way of saying, you know, look at how awful and homophobic and judgmental and lesbophobic and all this stuff like this character is. He is not perfect. He has all these issues, but it's not. I read the synopsis and it looks like he's very much supposed to be like a normal guy that you're supposed to relate to, which is what makes this so much worse. Now, I only read the bit that was actually highlighted. When you look at the whole page, it is 10 times worse. I'm going to read a little bit above. It says this. She's just a bimbo, he said to himself. Dinner now, Rebecca's wedding lating, and she's history. She spoke 5 languages, but since most were of the Eastern European variety, they seemed pretty useless in the fast lane. Yeah, she's a bimbo, an airheaded bimbo that speaks 5 languages. You know, but because they're Eastern European, they're useless. What the hell? That misogyny. Okay, there's misogyny, there's racism, there's xenophobia, you know, and as I don't know if this is my first video that you've seen, I'm a polyglot. I freaking love language and foreign languages, and so if somebody told me, yeah, you speak these many languages, but most are useless, I would be so annoyed. Then again, I don't really think I'm attractive enough to be called a bimbo in any sense. Or would that be a himbo? Nah, I'm not muscly enough to be a himbo. But either way, like, how could you say, oh, she's a bimbo just because she's attractive? That's what it comes down to. She's attractive, so she's a bimbo, even though, like, she definitely has all these other talents. And even above the highlighted bit, it says, if only his mass talk buddies could see him now, sitting across from his Barbie doll. Like, this woman only exists to make him look good. She can't be her own person. What crap. She stops and nods at some of the patients come to stand around and stare out the eyes all red and puffy with sleep. She nods to each precise automatic gesture. Her face is smooth, calculated, and precision-made, like an expensive baby doll, skin like flesh-coloured enamel, blend of white and cream and baby blue eyes, small nose, pink little nostrils. Everything working together except the colour on her lips and fingernails and the size of her bosom. A mistake was made somehow in manufacturing, putting those big, womanly breasts on what would have otherwise been a perfect work, and you can see how bitter she is about it. Oh. This is all of the context I have right now, but it seems like this is a nurse or a doctor or, you know, essentially somebody who works with patients, I guess, as that's all we've seen from her. Yeah, I'm getting the whole sort of, like, stern vibe, you know, which, I mean, I understand how making certain characters look certain ways tells you something about them. Like, you know, if you describe somebody as having dark circles under their eyes, then that would assume that they are somebody who goes without sleep. So in a lot of ways, the way that somebody looks can be useful. In this case, it's absolutely not. What the hell? It's like saying, oh, she's like this perfect little baby doll, except she's got massive tits. And that's, you know, the most heartbreaking thing about her. Like, I mean, what? It's like, oh, it seems kind of weird and a little bit pedo-y as well. You know, because it's like, oh, baby blue eyes, baby doll, like, all, like, small nose, pink little nostrils, and then saying everything's beautiful about her except for the fact that she's got huge tits and paints her lips and fingernails, which, yeah, it kind of gives me that sort of vibe of, oh, the problem is that she doesn't look childlike enough, which is just, oh, no, that's not really something you should be saying anyway. And even so, again, there's like way too much concentration on this person's looks as opposed to, like, especially when it's saying she nods to each precise automatic gesture. There is clearly more to this character than what she freaking looks like. But yet, that's not what they decided to concentrate on. Mrs. Clark on stage. She sighs, her breasts rising as big as souffles, or loaves of bread, then falling, settling, resting. Yeah, this actually makes a lot of sense because you may not know this, but I'm, you know, a quantum physicist, and therefore I know that all lung capacity for women exists entirely inside of their breasts. That's why, you know, whenever you see a woman breathing, her breasts go whoop, 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 whoop. That's how you check if, like, a woman's still alive, is you just look at her tits, and if they're still expanding and going down again, then you know that she's still breathing. It's also part of, you know, HRT for trans women. You know, a lot of trans women tend to get, you know, some breathing problems when they first start estrogen because naturally the lungs have to circumvent the rib cage and shove through into the breasts that they're now growing in order to rise like souffles or loaves of bread, because apparently one writer can figure out which one to use and so decided to go with both. What the hell? The breasts don't do that. Tits don't do that. The only thing is that sometimes when you breathe, your shoulders may rise and that may make your chest puff out slightly, but the tits they go whoop 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 whoop. When they did, that'd be really disturbing. Suddenly, her massive breasts, heaving with grief, were exposed to him and he had to retreat. This happened several times, like a funny toy, a monkey with cymbals or something. He approached to comfort her. She dropped her hands. Her brush shot out at him and he flew back. It's possible I was witnessing a living interpretation of an antique pornographic penny bank, similar to one I saw in a movie called The Stub Man, the writer's favourite film, which depicted a bear copulating with a girl on a swing. What? Sorry, I'd not read that bit until now. That really took me back. It's not the most disturbing thing about this. Jesus. Oh my god. That wasn't even one of the bits that was underlined. I mean, what is it with these weird descriptions of tits? I don't get just like the breath shot out of him. It's just this is why I'm scared of tits. As soon as you start to undo the buttons, a fist comes out and just punches you in the face, and then you end up with like a nipple shaped bruise on your cheek. What the hell? Breath shot out at him and he flew back. There was enough of I'm sorry. Oh, what the hell? It'd be like, this reminds me of a weird bestiality film I saw. That's not the way you should end that paragraph. Her laugh propels her, helps her balance, and she sails off across the floorboards, her tits glowing like precious pearls. What is it with like every freaking third sentence has to be something about tits? I swear. Tits don't glow. Well, I mean, unless this is like Beauty and the Beast, except only her tits are transforming. What a mental image that is. But it does seem that, like, you know, as soon as they start to describe a woman, it's like crap. A woman. They're like, crap, I have not gone into enough detail about the tits. I best say something about the tits, otherwise people might think I'm gay. I just, her tits glowing like precious pearls. Apparently this is just something where she's dancing to music. 1, tits don't glow. 2, what? 3, precious pearls? Just stop with the creepy tit obsession. Well, that's it for this episode of Men Writing Women. This is one of my favourite subreddits just because it is so freaking strange. Like, it isn't just pervy, it's just odd, you know? And as I say at the end of every episode, if you enjoyed hearing from this subreddit or would like to hear from any other subreddit, then do let me know in the comments. And until then, I'll see you all next time.